welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Bryn and I'm so glad that you're here. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about 24 books I want to read in 2024. A lot of these books are pretty popular on Book Talk and I just haven't read them yet. So this year I want to catch up on my physical TBR and read a bunch of those books. I have a giant list on my phone right here and these are in no particular order, but without further ado, let's get into it. I am not at home with all of the books on my bookshelf, but I do have a couple physical copies of books on this list. And the first book, I guess it's a series, but I want to read Magnolia Parks Universe in 2024. I know this is 4 books, but I counted this as 1. I do want to read the whole universe in 2024. I got the original covers for Christmas and I'm so excited about it. And this is the first book, it's just Magnolia Parks. This, I at least want to read one of them this year. I think I'll be able to make it through all 4 because I really think I'm gonna love this book. This is definitely like at the top of my TBR right now. So sometime in the near future, I do want to read this book. Next up, we have Icebreaker, and I'm actually going to start this book. I have the physical copy of this somewhere. I do have this book and I do want to start this book. I think maybe tonight or tomorrow, but I plan on reading it in the car on my drive back to school. I definitely want to start and finish this book before like Monday. Yeah, I heard really good things about this book. You guys will know my thoughts. I plan on filming a TikTok about it. A couple of these books actually haven't come out yet, and this is one of them. So this is The Housemaid is Watching by Freida McFadden, and this is the 3rd book in like the Housemaid series. You guys know I love the first book and I love the 2nd book, so of course I will be purchasing this as soon as it comes out. I'm kind of put myself on a book buying ban right now because I just have so many books in my physical TBR that I just want to try and get through them all. This one will be an exception because I'm obsessed with Freida McFadden, and you'll see a couple of her books on this list, but this one is one of my most anticipated reads of 2024. As soon as it comes out, I will be purchasing, and I'm very, very excited about it. Next up, we have an Ali Hazelwood book, and believe it or not, I have all of her books, and I haven't read any of them. One that I want to read this year is The Love Hypothesis, and I've had this book the longest. I can't believe I haven't read it yet. I feel like I'm the last person to read this book. I don't really know too much about any of these books, but I have them all on my shelf. They need to be read. I just think the cover is so cute. I feel like I'm gonna like a STEM romance. I do want to like dive into this like Ali Hazelwood universe, I guess you can call it. I'm very excited to read this one as well. Next, I want to read the Natural series. This is also one of the most anticipated reads on my TBR right now. I have a feeling that I'm really gonna like this book. This whole series as a whole, actually. This is like Criminal Minds, but like with teenagers, and I think there's like a little bit of romance. I don't actually know. It got me with Criminal Minds Teenagers Edition, and I was sold. So I'm very excited. I did get this for Christmas. Also very high on my TBR right now. Next up, we have another Freida McFadden book. This one is Never Lie, and I also got this for Christmas. I feel like a lot of this list is like books I got for Christmas because now that I have them on my TBR, I can read them. Or now that I have them, now they're on my TBR and I can read them. This one I hear is like Freida McFadden's best book. I'm not really sure what this is actually about, but I think there's something to do with like recordings and a doctor, and like some person finds the recordings. I don't actually know a lot about it, but I heard it's her best book, so of course I'm gonna have to read it because I am Freida McFadden's #1 fan. Number 7, we have Once Upon a Broken Heart, and I think the whole trilogy is like on my TBR for this year. I have the first book in paperback and I have the 3rd book in hardcover Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. I need to find the Barnes & Noble exclusives for the 1st and 2nd book. Once I have those, I think I'm gonna start reading the trilogy. Very excited to dive into that world as well. Number 8 is another series, so I guess this is technically more than 24 books. I want to read at least 1 book from each of the series that I mentioned, so we're gonna count it as 24. But this series, you already know what it is. ACOTAR. This has been so highly anticipated on my personal TBR, and I am so excited for this, and I have all of the books. I just haven't read them. I really want to read them. This is another high TBR. Like, it's very high up there right now. Next up, we have Beach Read by Emily Henry, and I have heard such good things about this book. I've heard good things about all these books, as I literally keep repeating myself over and over again. I'm pretty sure like Sarah is the one who absolutely adores this book. Also, Destiny, I think, rated this book 5 stars. If they rated it 5 stars, I have a feeling I'm gonna rate it 5 stars. I'm thinking about reading this in the summertime. I don't know if it's actually a summertimey book. Definitely something on my radar for the summertime of this year, so I'm very excited for that. This next book, you might yell at me because I haven't read it yet, and that is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. And did you guys know that Christina Lauren is actually 2 different people? I didn't know that until like fairly recently. This book I've heard such good things about. I just watched Destiny like reread this book. I have not heard anybody rate this other than 5 stars. So hopefully I love it and I also rate it 5 stars. The next book I actually just bought. I also just said I was on a book buying ban, but there were a couple books that I've been hunting for a while, so I gave myself 5 that if I saw them I would pick them up and I wouldn't count it against my book buying ban. But if I buy anything else, I'm going against my book buying ban. I did just purchase the 7-Year Slip. I know I keep saying I heard such good things, but I've heard such good things about this one. Like, for real. I have not seen anybody hate on this book. I don't think I've heard a single bad thing about this book. Of course, I had to go buy it, and it didn't count against my book buying ban. While on the topic of books that I'm not counting towards my book buying ban, that is Done and Dusted. I have been hunting for this book and for some reason I can't find it anywhere. This is a book that if I find, I'm going to pick it up and it's not going to count against my book buying ban because I also heard this one was so cute. I just heard it was such a cute romance. I think it's a cowboy romance. Could be wrong about that, but the cover gives cowboy romance vibes. It'll be my first cowboy romance book. So very excited for this one. Okay, so we made it to number 13 and this book is Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. This one wasn't really high on my TBR until I watched a Haley Pham video. She was obsessed with this book. I think she said it was like one of her best book boyfriends that she's read. So I had to add it to my TBR because I already have the book so I don't have to go buy it. Yeah, I heard this was also just a cute little romance and Lynn Painter's writing was really good. Better than the movies. You guys also might get mad at me for not reading this book yet, or this series yet, but that is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. I have literally had this book since my freshman year of college. I bought that book for myself so that I could keep up with my reading in college, and then I got so busy and I never got to read it, but I've collected all the books, even the novella. Sometime this year I have to read this book. I don't care when it is, so I hope it's as good as everybody says. Next up we have Powerless by Lauren Roberts, I think off the top of my head. This is a fairly new release and I have been hunting for the Barnes & Noble exclusive cover because I think it is so cute, but I don't actually have a copy of this book yet. But I think this was one of the books I said that I would buy right away if I saw it because that's how bad I want to read it. I don't know much about it. I think there's romance in there. I think there's fantasy. I heard it's kind of like a Hunger Games vibe. Maybe I'm mixing books up. I don't actually know anything about this book. Everybody loves it, so of course it's on my TBR. I have not read Fourth Wing yet, and everybody and their mother has read this book. I haven't, and I have Fourth Wing and I have Iron Flame. Shout out to Mackenzie for sending me that. I definitely want to read both those books really this year. I feel like I'm just like missing out on this whole universe. I personally feel like I'm missing out. I'm having a little bit of FOMO. Definitely want to read this year. ACOTAR is not the only Sarah J Maas series I want to read this year. I want to read Throne of Glass. I don't know how much of this I can read this year. I don't have any of the books. I think there's like 8 of them. Don't want to read the series until I have all the books. I can just read it all at once, you know, or like the majority of it at once. I have a feeling that as soon as I get into this, I'm gonna want to keep going until the end. Make sure I collect all the books. I'm gonna wait till after my book buying ban to purchase these. But I do want to read at least like one of the books before the end of the year. We have another series on our hands right now, and that is Flawless by Elsie Silver. I think the series is called the Chestnut Springs series by Elsie Silver. So I just put Flawless on there on this list because I want to read at least one of the books this year. Easy cowboy romance. I heard really good things about it. Elsie Silver is of course on my TBR. At number 19 we have Eastern Standard by Sierra Spencer. She did send me this book. However, I'm a huge Swiftie, and there are Swiftie references all throughout this book, so of course I have to read it. She is like the kindest author I've ever had an interaction with in my life. I believe this comes out very soon if it hasn't come out already. You guys should try and get your hands on this, because if you love Taylor Swift, I already know you're gonna love this book. I already know I'm gonna love this book. Sarah Spencer is gonna become your new favorite author. Definitely read this. I also want to read this year, this month even, as well. We have made it to number 20, Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. I know I haven't read any of Ali Hazelwood's books. This one in particular, I think is my favorite cover of hers. I have all of her books. This is my favorite cover by far, and that just makes me want to read it even more. I just think it's one of the prettiest covers I think I have, and I don't know, there's just something about it that I feel like I'm gonna love. I definitely want to read this one soon. Forget about every time that I said you guys are going to be mad at me not reading this book yet. This one you're definitely going to get mad at me for, and that is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I've had this book I think for like 1 or 2 years, and I have not picked it up. I just feel like I'm missing out again. Like, I feel like I'm missing out on all of these books, especially this one in particular. Like, I just feel like I'm missing out, and the hype is not really there anymore about this book, but the hype is still in me. I am hyping this book up, so hopefully it lives up to my expectations. We're down to our last 3. Next up we have Red, White, and Royal Blue. I have had this for so long, and I believe the movie just came out. So I do want to watch the movie, but I don't want to watch the movie until I read the book. The book is always better. I think I'm gonna read the book before I watch the movie, but I want to be able to watch the movie, so I need to be able to read the book before I watch the movie. Number 23, this book is not out yet either, but it will be, I believe, next month. The Teacher by Frida McFadden. Of course, we have another Frida McFadden book in here. I'm literally her #1 fan. And as a future educator myself, kind of terrified to read this book, but I just have to know what it's about. So, you know, I have to read it, of course. So when this comes out, I will be purchasing it. And last but not least, can we get a drum roll? Number 24 is The Things We Never Got Over trilogy. I don't actually know if that's what it's called. Things We Never Got Over, Things We Hide from the Light, and Things We Leave Behind, I think is what they're called. I might be wrong, but they're going to be up here on the screen. And I have heard mixed things about this series, but I do want to read at least the first book, see how I like it, form my own opinion, and if I like it, I have the other 2 books to move on. If I don't like it, then I have all 3 that can look pretty on my bookshelf. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. That's all the books that I want to read this year. Of course, there are more on this list, but I only chose 24 for the sake of this video. Make sure you guys subscribe down below if you like this video. I'm going to be posting 2 times a week in January, so you want to subscribe and you don't want to miss that. I'm not just going to post book content. I have some really exciting videos coming up, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on that. And all my social medias will be linked down below as per usual, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!